Hi there, welcome back to Vondel Pete. I am Peter, your friendly neighbourhood unhealthy INFP, and in this video I just want to briefly discuss INFJs. So obviously a lot of INFJs, you can very clearly see the extroverted feeling side. It sort of depends on how much they're caring about fitting into groups, because some of them very much care about being part of groups, even if it's not fitting in. But a lot of them are reclusive. My dad is a reclusive INFJ. He's one of the first things I got wrong when I was trying to type people. It was very easy for me to know that my brother was an ESTJ and my mum was an ENTP. They did the test, that's what they got. Wasn't sure with my twin sister, but she's an ENFJ. But my dad's an INFJ, and I was sure that he was an INTJ because he's so reclusive, so uncomfortable in social situations, so doing everything against the grain. At least that's how I interpreted his behaviour. So I made him do the test to prove to him that I could accurately point out that he's an INTJ. And he got INFJ, so I thought, well, I guess the test is wrong. So I did the same test, and I did it thinking I'm him. So I did it based on my knowledge of my own dad. Very biased thing to do, but I think it gives an interesting perspective. If you know the person very well, you answer the test for them. And then he also got INFJ, so I did lots of different tests on the internet and things like that, and kept getting INFJ to the point where I realised he wasn't INFJ, and I looked at it from a different perspective and looked at what his social awkwardness was. And it's coming from introverted intuition is an ideal of extroverted feeling. Like they've got an ideal for the extroverted feeling world. So it's not really to do with what is, but what could be. Therefore, an INFJ might despise a lot of social situations and social systems they find themselves in because it's not the way they feel things should be. If there's a toxic social situation, they might be a little bit more willing to undermine it or destroy it. Although, a lot of INFJs end up being martyrs and not wanting to disrupt the equilibrium. But overall, in most cases, INFJs just can't tolerate a toxic that's an exaggeration, but like even if a less than ideal social situation, an INFJ will try and undermine it or change it in some way. They might try to really just venture out of the group and look for people who, like INFPs like myself, they usually like, and they will reach out and try to involve you or create a new group with you in it and try to prop you up. I also want to talk about the inner world and the outer world of INFJs as opposed to INFPs like myself, because everything comes back to me. But INFJs are very different to INFPs, but they can come across again as being very individualistic. A lot of INFJs end up being very intensely personal singer-songwriters and writers and artists, and again giving an impression of introverted feeling, but it's not. It's introverted intuition mixed with extroverted feeling. And again, INFJs, their inner world is all based on introverted intuition and introverted thinking. So there's a lot of scheming going on, I think, with INFJs in a very nice way. They're coming up with little plans in their head. They've got a good grasp of introverted thinking, so their plans are very logical and well thought out. I love watching analyses, is that a word, of any topic by an INFJ compared to me, like these videos I make. You can even look at YouTube videos and compare an INFJ to an INFP, for instance. And an INFJ is so much better logically, and the flow and the organisation of their facts and the way they put things together is far better than anything I could ever do. I'm going on a million tangents. I've got demon introverted thinking, so a lot of the things I say contradict themselves, and I'm sorry for that. I don't know if there's much I can do about it apart from, like, if I want to keep churning out videos. I think it'd break me to make sure everything had complete logical consistency, unfortunately. However, INFJs are really great at that. INFJs, I notice, go around, with me at least, if they invite you to something, they're going to have a secret picnic bag. They're going to try and create a perfect sort of situation. A lot of that is, again, it's coming from extroverted feeling and then through extroverted sensing. It's never going to be full-on extroverted sensing. They want to do something nice, bask in the sun, go to a nice cafe and just sit and watch and relax. I've got a very close INFJ friend and I worked with him for years, and in our early days there was so much miscommunication, so much of him sort of being a bit critical of a lot of things I did. But yeah, there's little things like when I went to Japan in 2016, And to him, it was very important that I go and relax. He's like, and I was telling him about my plan. No, I'm going to go and visit a cult in Japan, and I'm going to climb a mountain to find Moses's grave, which is something I did. Like, there's a cult that believes that Moses lived in Japan. And I was telling him all these things I'm going to do. I'm going to make a documentary. I'm going to blah, 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 blah. And he got kind of annoyed at me, and he's like, why can't you just go somewhere and relax? I see his point of view, and even last year he was the one who got me to quit my job, and I told him I want to go to a little Czech small town and stay there for a week and just to unwind, and he really pushed for me to do this. This is very INFJ of him. This is what you should do. This will be healing for you. And I take a lot of stock in what INFJs say, because they're often, I find INFJs are not always, but often they're right about these things. And yeah, he pushed me to go to this beautiful little town and go hiking through the day. And he was so pleased with me doing this. There is a side of me which, with my blind spot extroverted sensing, it doesn't really matter if I'm in this ideal physical situation. I'm in a beautiful little Czech town and have all this space. It's like the perfect idyllic place for me to be. But I'm so lost in my head as an INFP that my head was elsewhere. It doesn't matter how beautiful the environment I'm in is. My head is somewhere else. INFPs have got extroverted intuition and extroverted thinking as their sort of outer world flow functions, which is very different. So if you compare an INFP like myself, when you're extroverting to the world in flow with your main cognitive functions, you're sort of feeling best, at least I do, when you're going from extroverted intuition to extroverted thinking, which is very creative. So when I was in this idyllic place, which was beautiful, I couldn't just sit back and relax. I had to work on completely different things, write poetry all day, or I had to do something creative that was not connected to my physical world. I think having the extroverted sensing the beauty around me definitely impacts me in an unconscious way. Again, INFJs are just so great at reminding me to do something like that. I've gone on a few tangents here. What I'm trying to say is INFJs are out there and they're not necessarily screaming extroverted feeling if you look at cognitive functions in a static way. INFJs can come across as very individualistic, very going against the grain, and I think a lot of people are misinterpreting what extroverted feeling is and how INFJs act. And I guess the final thing I'll say is I've noticed people who are INFJs sometimes get labeled as INTJs because they see so much rationale and logic. INFJs tend to be pretty good with logical frameworks. It's their child function, introverted thinking. They can connect all the dots. They can plan. They can be these amazing scientists, engineers. They can do all of these things really well, things that are going to make people think they must be an INTJ. But no, they're INFJs. They've got strong, it's not strong, but it's a child function. They're going to be pretty good at logical consistency and those sorts of frameworks and come across as very logical thinking types. So anyway, I hope you got something out of this video. Again, sorry I'm such an INFP going off in a million tangents, not sticking to one topic, but I feel like I can't get any videos out unless I do it this way, because the stress that it causes me to actually lay out things logically is not really worth it. It might be worth it for you, but I don't know, my lead FI function is more concerned about myself and my own enjoyment, unfortunately. But also, I just don't want my mood to be killed. If I put too much effort into YouTube videos, I'm just going to get in a bad mood, if that makes sense. Just wears me out. And I've got other things to do. Like, I want to play guitar, you know. Maybe I'll sing a song. I haven't written a song. Can you hear it? INFJ, I want to get myself an INFJ. Want an INFJ girlfriend. What the fuck am I doing? Anyway, I hope you got something out of this very rambling, incoherent video. Until next time, I'm Peter, your friendly neighborhood unhealthy INFP. See you next time.